talking to?
No one?
Okay, Sarah. It's getting late. Time to go to bed, okay? Good night, Sarah. Go to sleep this time.
What's going on, my friends? My name is Jason Morris, and what you just saw was a snippet of the short film project we just recently shot. Now, all of these shots were under very low light situations. Obviously, lighting is key when it comes to thriller/horror films, as this gives you a nice sort of scary feel. There are a few points that I need to bring up about Sony A7III's performance, good and bad, when shooting this whole short film. Now, low light is very difficult for most cameras, but luckily the Sony makes some best sensors in DSLRs and mirrorless cameras to date. Now, as I said, there were a few bad points when it came to shooting under low light situations. Autofocus became very difficult, and to track the face, it was just excruciatingly painful. Luckily, I used the Zhiyun Crane 2 and it had the manual focusing dial on the side. Now, as I said, there were a few bad points when it came to shooting under low light. Autofocus became very difficult as it couldn't really track the face under that low light situation. But luckily, I used the Zhiyun Crane, which had the manual focusing racking dial on the side. And the other bad thing with this was the focus peaking wasn't exactly as accurate, and obviously it's just not as reliable as autofocus at times. Focus is obviously really critical to have a clear image, and you know that's how you want it, so you can tell that story. But the only way I could get around that autofocus was the manual focus. But there was just one instance where it took about 7 to 8 takes just to get the correct focus and composition each time. So predominantly the short film was shot with the Zhiyun Crane 2 and some Zhiyun cine lenses. Now the cine lenses have a large focusing track, which made it really hard to focus pull from a close subject to a far subject. Now it did give me very super sharp images, as I did have a lot of room to play with the focusing, but there was just pretty much one particular scene where I actually had to use my kit lens. This obviously has a variable aperture lens, so it wasn't really great under low light situations, but luckily it was a very high key scene, so the ISO didn't have to be pushed too high.
It's Freya.
Oh, hi Freya. Are you okay? You sound like you've seen a ghost.
Yeah, I'm just a little jumpy is all. Nothing to worry about. I was calling about Sarah. Has she had any issues sleeping lately? She's just woken up twice and hasn't gone back to sleep.
Oh, that's really strange. She normally goes to sleep early. Okay, if she wakes up again, just give her some warm milk.
Now, there was another particular scene as well where I had to focus rack really quickly from a teddy bear really close to the actor in the distance. As you can see here, I'm playing it right now. Now, with this scene, it was pretty much impossible. I couldn't use the Zhiyun lens, so I ended up using my 50mm 1.8, so it was pretty good because what I did is I used the autofocus and I used the touchscreen on the A7 III. So I touched it from the teddy bear, then I racked focus to the actor when she poked her head around a corner.
Go to sleep, scene 7, shot 1, take 2. Action.
Who are you talking to?
So that was really fast and accurate compared obviously to the manual focus, because there was so much distance I had to rack focus, and it was not possible. So also when it came to the picture profiles, now I used S-Log. Now S-Log isn't the greatest to use under low light situations. Yes, the native ISO is 800 and you can capture more dynamic range, but the only thing is when you really bump that ISO up a little bit higher, you actually start losing that dynamic range past obviously that native 800 ISO. Now it's not really good, and what it also can happen is I've noticed in some of my footage that in the dark spots there was a lot of grain in the shadows. So you really, I'd recommend you shouldn't be shooting an S-Log in these dark situations. I prefer to use Cine 4, and that's probably what I should have done, but I had to keep it consistent throughout the whole film. The grain, so the grain wasn't exactly easy to see on the screen. Obviously when you bring it up in post, so like in Premiere Pro and try and blow it up, you can definitely notice the grain, but it's if you do bring up the blacks, you can crush that grain just a little bit and it still looks really good. When it came to audio, we did use external audio as well. Obviously, I didn't want to do on-camera audio because I was on the crane and I didn't want a shotgun mic because you need the audio quite close to your actors. Lav mics are pretty common when it comes to the audio, but we used a Rode boom and also the Zoom H1 external audio. So we had a sound guy that was monitoring the sound through his headphones and a boom operator that obviously got the boom as close to the actors as possible to get that nice crisp sound. And then obviously we synced it in post when it came to putting it into Premiere Pro. But all in all, the A7III did absolutely fantastic when it came to shooting this short film. I did use 4K as well because the A7III does 6K and downsamples to 4K footage. So it is really crisp when you shoot in the 4K settings. So that's it from me, guys. Please like this video if you could. Subscribe to my channel if you already haven't. Comment below if you have the A7III or any questions on the subjects that I brought up today in terms of, you know, picture profile, autofocus, and all that sort of stuff, and even the Zhiyun lenses. And yeah, my name's Jason Morris, and I'll see you in the next video.